Hello, my friends. Welcome to Josselin. I am Jan of Jan X Creates and soon to be of Mon Aiguille Filetée, which is the name of my French business, and it means my threaded needle. And along with me today, I have my trailing spouse.
Hi, I'm Mike. The trailing spouse.
We'll explain that in a bit. We are seated right now on the opposite side of the canal that runs through Josselin. So we'll show you some pretty scenes of what we're looking at right now in a little park here. Nice little walking area, little sitting area, picnic areas. There's a little playground down the path a little bit. So yeah, we are enjoying our third day?
Yeah, because
Well, 2.5 days.
Yeah. So we arrived the day before yesterday in Orly Airport and drove after an overnight flight and then drove here. So that was 4.5 hours of
After the challenge of finding the rental car place
Oh my
in
God.
the airport. We'll just say that the signage at the airport
Needs help.
leaves something to be desired.
Yeah.
Let alone, I mean, there wasn't a language problem. It was just there weren't enough signs pointing to where you pick up your rental car. But anyway.
We got a lot of steps in that day. Yeah.
So we thought we would just kind of give you a little overview of how we got here, the process. And our process is going to be a little different than the average retiree. But we thought we'd give you kind of a broad brushstroke glimpse of what we went through to get here. And it was not easy. It was expensive, and it was a lot of paperwork, and it was probably more stress than I've experienced
In quite a while.
in a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we thought we'd give you that, and then I thought we would talk a little bit about, as you know, I'm planning on having retreats here in conjunction with the store, and so I thought I'd talk a little bit about what we hope to offer in the retreats, and as we're talking about that, we'll show you the images, the video of what we're talking about. So hopefully that'll give you a glimpse of
What we're talking about.
Hey, we're not scripted.
No. Sorry, this is all very free for all.
In case you didn't know, all of my videos are
try
free
to
for all.
provide some free entertainment.
Yeah. So the process.
So
When did we start?
Okay, well, we first we'd been looking for a number of years at
Moving abroad.
moving abroad. So, but we finally, after I'd say probably about 2 years or so of research, we finally settled on France. It checked the most boxes for us. We had a lot of different things we were looking at. I'm probably more anal about that than most people, but France checked the most boxes for us. And then last April, so April 2024, we saw an article by retired congressional representative Jim McDermott, right? Who wound up moving here. So it's an interesting story, so I would recommend looking that up. But that finally was like, it's time. And so, we were on the road at the time, because between July of 23 and just a week ago, we were living in our camper, our little 7-foot by 15-foot box and car.
I'm glad to be out of it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it was good, but it was time for a new chapter to start. But anyway, so we decided that it was time, and we wound up going to France for a 6-week reconnaissance trip. Well,
and leading up to that, we really, and I spent most of the time researching the entire country, what the weather's like, what the different areas are like, what the expat community is like. A couple of the major things we were looking for in a town was whether there was a hospital nearby and whether there was a train station real by. But what the town was like as far as activities and
just the general character.
Yeah, the general character. And we came to the conclusion, after spending enough time in Phoenix, we knew we didn't want to be someplace where the summers were really hot and dry. So that really leaves out pretty much the lower half, from the half of France to the south. We wanted it to be green. We wanted it to have more humidity. I know that sounds strange, but for us it just works better for our general health.
And also from my perspective, I mean, I'm looking at like climate change issues and things like that, and this area, from what I read, is expected to be more climate change resilient than the South. The South is already getting hot. There are already people moving up from the South up into this area. So
when we came over for the 6-week trip, we had already narrowed it down to 3 basic regions: Brittany, the northern Loire Valley, and Normandy. And those are still large areas, but we found Verbos, Airbnbs from which we could range out to really explore the regions. And so that's what we did. We spent 2 weeks in each area.
Yep.
And
a lot of driving, a lot of looking around.
Yeah, and the first town we had stayed in was Josselin, and so that's where we never stopped loving this the best, and so that's where we landed.
This set the expectation practically since the start, and everywhere we went, we're like, oh, this would be a cool place to live, but Josselin has this, that, and the other thing. This place doesn't have that. And it's like, so.
Yeah.
Finally, at some point, we were like,
why don't we just
look for a place in Josselin?
So, as far as the visa's concerned, though, that process started. I mean, we started researching what we needed probably around the April time frame as well.
Yeah.
And when we first started looking, we were totally just planning on coming over on a non-work visa, and just enjoying.
Basically being retirees.
Yeah, retirees enjoying living in Europe and exploring Europe to the fullest extent possible. Now, I'll backtrack a tiny bit and say, as we were traveling around the U.S., one of the things that we had kind of toyed with the idea of was buying a house in a place where we could have a retreat center. And so that the idea of retreats had been in the back of our mind. And as we started to explore France, we were like, wouldn't it be amazing to do retreats here? I mean, it just, wow, just wow. So we've slowly morphed into doing retreats, finding a place that could handle retreats. And then...
Oh, wait, the bells. I don't know if you can hear with their mics on, but the church bells are ringing now.
Let's be quiet for a second. Ringing the hour of 4.
Four.
So as we were thinking about retreats, there's not really any supporting shop in
This area.
anywhere near us, really. So then we just started thinking about, well, it'd be really nice to have a little shop that would support the retreats.
Yeah, because if I recall correctly, we were in one little town somewhere, in the town square, there was a vacant business, and I looked at it like, wow, would that make a great place for a CrossFit shop?
Yeah. And the rest is about to be history.
So it's partly my fault.
So then realizing that, coming to that conclusion, it totally changes the visa. Because you cannot come over on what is considered a long stay visitor visa is what it's called, which is basically the retirement visa. You have to pledge not to do any work. You can't even work remotely. So that means you have to get a work visa, and work visas are much more difficult to get. Not as far as like whether they're approved, but just the paperwork and the money that goes into, and especially the one we've ended up getting.
Ours, of course, is probably the most difficult and
it is
required the most investment.
It is called the Passeport Talent. I don't know whether it's, there's a lot I don't understand yet. But Passeport Talent, auto entrepreneur, and as I mentioned, Mike is a trailing spouse, so while he is on his own visa, he is tied. He is here because he is part of the family of the main visa holder, which is mine.
We're just going to sit at home and eat bonbons.
We hired somebody to help us. We could not have done this process without her.
No.
The person we hired, her name is Allison Loans. Excuse me. Her company is called Transformation. She has a book about French visas. She has a website with classes, online, class type things that you can step through. You can do it on your own. You can set up consultation calls with her. I think she calls them discovery calls to really figure out what you need. And then you can hire her for a full what she calls VIP concierge service, and that's what we hired her for. And thank heavens that we did, because
It would have been impossible. It
Yeah.
would not have happened. I mean, there's, for this particular visa, which, and Allison's service for this that we got was kind of her all-inclusive package, if you will. Took us from, all the stuff we needed to apply for the visa, all the stuff,
all the paperwork.
and all the business setup documentation, and sending things to the Ministry of Economy, and
Hooking us up with the right lawyers, hooking us
to
up
do
with the
the
banking,
articles
yeah.
of. I mean, it would have. There's just no way
Statutes
we
for
would
the
have
business,
ever
yeah.
been able to do this on our own.
And the interesting thing is, so the paperwork is everything from birth certificates, marriage licenses, just all your identification paperwork, all your banking
Bank records,
paperwork.
yeah.
And the interesting thing as a female is that in France, a female is always, she takes her maiden name with her throughout her married life. So even though she has her married name, there's always her maiden name on all the official documentation. The maiden name is always stated. So for me, it's Jan Hicks née Hildenbrand, born as Hildenbrand. And that's on all the official documentation.
And when you apply for a visa, you have to have documentation that tracks that back. If you've been married and
So because I've had a
on.
previous marriage, I also had to have the previous divorce decree, and everything that shows a name change, we needed to supply copies of. So
So that was kind of an unexpected pain to have to
Yeah.
dig all that stuff out.
and then things like getting the background check from the FBI, and
That was easy, though. That was
it was easy, but all these little things you might not think about. So once all the paperwork was gathered, then well, in conjunction with that, we had a long conversation on Zoom with Allison to find out all about the business. And I had all kinds of questionnaires to fill about the business and what my expectations and hopes are. And she and her team then wrote up the business plan. And the business plan, I have to say, I sound quite impressive.
I was like, come on, we're going to enrich
I
France
don't know
here.
how many pages.
Oh, at least a dozen.
Yeah, and there's a
dozen
whole
pages, yeah.
financial outlook part of it, but all that gets sent to the Ministry of Economy, and the Ministry of Economy then has to approve the business and say, yes, this is a serious business that could be viable in France. And that was where one of the first stressors came from. And I guess that the stressors were created because we're buying this house. And the house closing date is on tomorrow, April 7th. And so we needed to be here. We wanted to be here a few days before to get acclimatized. And so everything had to be done. We had that date locked in.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, and the worst part about this whole thing was there were several things that had specific time windows where you had to have a certain document or approval before you could advance to the next stage. And if that didn't happen, everything downstream of that would get messed up. So
Oh yeah, because there was the statutes. Those needed to be written and submitted and approved
Right.
before all that could be sent to the Ministry of Economy. And all this, a lot of that major paperwork was happening over the Christmas holiday break. And of course in France, those 2 weeks, pretty much nothing gets done. They're
Everybody's
very
on vacation,
serious about
yeah.
their break time.
yeah. Work-life balance here is a big thing. It's a big thing.
Which is part of the
good.
reason we're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that was 2 weeks lost. And then the Ministry of Economy approval, which normally only takes 2 weeks, it took us over a month to get ours back. And so time is ticking. And
we really got it like the last day
that we
before,
could have,
before
without
that
having
window
to
would kind of,
change
yeah,
the
we'd have to
flight
do everything.
dates
Oh
and
my
all
God.
that.
And then Nina, our cat's health certificate.
Well, before that, there was the visas.
Oh, right, because we can't do
So,
anything about the visas, of course.
The visas, we had made an appointment to submit the paperwork for the visas on February.
It was a Friday, wasn't it?
Well, it was the previous one. We went in on the 17th. It was the 10th or the 11th. We had to cancel the first date because we didn't have that Ministry of Economy approval back yet. So then we got the second date, and we still didn't have it until the Friday before, like the afternoon of the Friday before the approval came in. So we knew we could go Monday and submit the paperwork, and then it was a matter of waiting for the visa to be approved. That was Monday. Tuesday, we got a question from the embassy wanting additional
More
paperwork.
documentation.
I panicked because I thought they're not going to approve the visa.
It was a meltdown moment.
It was a total
was-
meltdown.
yeah.
Like, who do I think I am that I could move to France? I'm going to cry now.
We
just
had
thinking
some we
about
had
it.
some words. Come on, dear.
Yeah, it
What's
was.
this little girl from Pennsylvania with safety shoes?
It was
This
pretty
little
much
girl from
exactly.
Pennsylvania is going to totally transform this town. Okay.
Quite so sure about that, but thank you for the vote of confidence, dear.
But that's kind of the way it.
Yeah, that's
that was,
exactly what
yeah,
happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
prepare for some stress if you go that route.
Yeah.
Now I'm also just going to interject that if you do come over here, if you're looking for a place to retire and you want to retire in France, getting the basic
Yeah.
VLSTS long stay visa is not hard at all. So just keep that in mind.
And that's actually,
motorcycle.
yeah.
So what the story that we're telling again, this
Yeah.
is like the most difficult
Yeah.
visa to get. So,
And that's actually the long stay visa is actually we're planning on Mike's father coming over and living here as well, and he'll be coming across on a long stay visa. The hardest part for getting him here is going to be finding a place to live that has bedroom and bathroom on the main floor with the living room and kitchen because he can't do stairs. But anyways,
so then once you finally had the visa, the visa approval, then we had to wait to get
well,
the
we
visa
didn't even
back.
know that we got the visa
Oh,
approval.
that's right.
All they tell you is that your passports are
It's
being sent
completed.
back.
Yes, and they don't
And-
tell you whether you got it or
Yeah,
not.
you don't know until you actually open the
Surprise.
passport whether the visa has been
is
approved,
really bizarre.
stamped in there or not.
And so that was pretty much last minute, and then Nina, our cat, so animals going over have to have a health certificate, but not just any health certificate. It has to be basically notarized by the USDA, and you have a 10-day window. You can't do it any earlier than 10 days before when the animal is going to arrive in the EU. So it's basically like a work week and a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so we were really sweating that one.
It all came together.
Oh,
It felt very
but, oh my
last minute.
God.
Every single step of the way was very last minute. The stress was overwhelming at
I'm
times.
surprised I have any hair left.
Yeah. But we're here.
Yep,
We made
yep.
it. The next steps are getting the business registered. I can't really do anything with setting up the shop, getting wholesale accounts until I get the business registered.
Well, the next step really is getting the house on Monday.
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
we close
Tomorrow we
tomorrow.
close on the house.
So yeah, there's still a lot of paperwork that has to happen on this side, but at least we're here eating the croissants.
And the space is rented. The
I
retail space
I
is
picked
rented.
up my keys yesterday. We'll
She's
show
telling
you
me
some
about that
video
tomorrow.
of that. Not really anything to look at this point, of course. It's empty. But landlord is fantastic. He is a
Yeah.
Brit, so there's no language
issue.
barrier there. And it's 4 doors down from the house, and we'll show you
So we
the
have a-
walk from the
So we
the,
have a
the
long commute. The long commute.
So yeah, that's about it. It's a gorgeous day in Josselin. It is. It is 70 degrees here today. Clear blue skies, sunshine. It's just beautiful. So I think we're going to take a walk around town and show you some of the things that if you decide to join us on any of our retreats, whether it's through a store or any that we set up on our own, some of the things that you will see and get to partake of and enjoy while you're here.
Yeah. So, let's
Let's
go.
take a walk. Allez, on y va.
On y va. Allez.
Okay, so this is going to be the hotel that we will be using for the retreats. As you can see, there's restaurant and bar in it, right across the canal from this amazing chateau. There are meeting rooms in this hotel as well, so this is where all of the activities, whether I have a teacher or a stitching time, whatever happens, this is our center of activity, and it's all very convenient to what's going on in the town. I did get a question on whether there is parking. If you are coming and you decide to rent a car, whether there will be parking for the car. And the hotel does have a parking lot down here for those that are driving. So it's all, easy to get to, easy access should you decide to do that. As you can see, this gorgeous castle, this is the Josselin Chateau, Chateau de Josselin. I do plan on doing tour. I won't be doing the tours, but we will be doing a tour of the castle, a private led tour. So that is one of the things. That the shop is right across the street from the chateau, so you will have a lot of opportunity to explore the area and get to know the history of the town. So Josselin is a very walkable town. If you are somebody who likes to take a morning walk, an afternoon walk, want to get your steps in, you will have no problems doing that here in Josselin. One of the, I think, major charms is that all along the canal there is a towpath. Of course, this used to be a working canal. I don't remember the date. The canal was put in somewhere in the 1800s, and it really increased trade throughout Brittany. And most of it moved along this canal. So there is a towpath here that they have made into a very nice walking path, riding path, and it is easily accessible from the hotel. So if you are somebody that enjoys walking, you're going to love this area. Another possibility of fun and different things to do in Josselin is to rent one of these little boats. They are rentable here at the lock. I don't know what you call this, there's a little building there that you rent the boats from. And you can just take them up and down just this area.
Rent kayaks and other stuff there, yeah.
So if you want to go out on the canal and do some water stuff, that's a possibility too. All right, and here we are. This is the future home of Mon Aiguille Filetée. Let's go inside. So, here we are. Not a huge space, but an empty space. So, I guess we have some ideas of how we're going to fill it, what kind of look that we want, but like I said, there's a long way to go. We have a nice little window display type of thing. I do hope to have a table where stitchers can come and sit. Maybe up here, maybe somewhere else. I don't know. We have a whole lot to figure out yet. But I think it's a good size. Not too big, not too small. Little office area back here. And a tiny little bathroom as well.
The important stuff.
All of our needs. So there are many great little restaurants and shops in Josselin. It is a small town, so I wouldn't say it's, there's a ton, but there's a lot of cute little places, and this is one of them. Behind us is the local biscuiterie, the basically cookie shop, sweet shop. There's a couple restaurants here, and then we're going to walk up this little alley here and go into the square, the main square in Josselin, and take a look at what's there. So back behind me here is the mayor's office. That's the town mayor. So that's where basically all the stuff that I'm going to need is going to take place, I think. But this particular square and all the square down there, the streets leading up to it, this is where the Saturday morning market takes place. So this is where I hope you'll be able to come. I plan on having the retreats taking place over a weekend so that you will be able to see what a normal French weekly market looks like. There is everything you could imagine at the market, from the normal food you would think, cheeses, breads, produce, to mattresses, clothes.
My favorite is the mattresses, to be honest.
It's just kind of wild. So anyways, I hope to be able to introduce you to a real French market. So this is the Basilica Notre-Dame du Roncier. It is obviously the Catholic church in the town. Again, I can't tell you how old it is off the top of my head, but if this is, you are welcome to go inside when you are visiting to take a look at the inside, but also if you are a Catholic, you are welcome to attend one of the masses here as well. So we've had a bit of a time warp. We stopped recording the earlier part of this video 3 weeks ago, maybe now, 2 weeks ago. We kind of just started walking around and enjoying the scenery and forgot to record. But here we are back again. I wanted to end this video in the square in Josselin. This is the main square, to show you the different restaurants and stores that are right here. This is also the area where the marché is, for you to get a feel of what it all looks like right here. So we're going to just take a little stroll around the square now. I hope you enjoy this video. If you have any questions, let me know. Anything you'd like to know more about, we will try our best. But I hope this gives you a little taste of what Josselin is like.